Hi, I'm Suraj Chhetri. I'm an optometrist, and today I'm going to talk about the concept of lens effectivity, effective power, or Vergence versus effectivity, which is basically the same thing. But book says that Vergence effectivity would be a better word than lens effectivity and effective power. I just want to make sure that we understand basic things, and let's move to some basic things, and then I will draw a picture, or I will draw a sketch that I can make sure that you will understand the basic concept. And I'm definitely going to talk about clinical correlations, how we can correlate things with effective power or what is the effectivity. First, I hope that every optometry student knows that in case of plus thin lens, the secondary focal point lies behind the lens, primary focal point lies in front of the lens. And in case of minus lens, it is exactly opposite. In front of the lens, there is a secondary focal point, and behind it is a primary focal point. So it's really important when I'm going to draw some picture, and it is basic concept, I think you guys know. So I assume that you know, and I move forward. So now I'm going to draw a picture and try to explain what is subjective refraction actually, and how we see things clearly when we put our lens spectacle in front of our eyes. Let's try to suppose this is our human eye, and which is hyperopic, and its far point always lies behind, as you know. And if we put the plus lens, then the principle is, you must understand that principle is, in case of hyperopic, secondary focal point of a correcting positive lens must coincide with far point. So secondary focal point must coincide with far point. This is the optics. If you didn't know that, then it will be difficult to understand how effective power plays a role. So secondary focal point of a lens, correcting lens, should be coincide with the far point of eye. And as we know that far point of eye is conjugate with retina, then by definition these rays bend here and focus at the retina and passenger clearly. This is same for minus lens. Suppose this is our eye. In case of minus lens, we know that far point is real, not behind the eye, but in front of the eye. Suppose here. So if this parallel lens comes and goes, it should be coincide with secondary focal point. So secondary focal point of a minus lens should coincide with far point of retina, and then far point of eye, then passion sees clearly. And this is the basic principle of subjective refraction. When we put our lens in front of our eyes with trial frame, we are doing basically this. So this is plus and minus lens. So I'm going to talk about now, move to lens effectivity and effective power and Vergence effectivity. So by definition, lens effectivity is a change in Vergence of the light that occurs at a different point along its path. So I'll tell you how this. Let's take an example with plus lens first, because plus is more easier. Suppose this is our eye, and this is the far point of hyperopic eye. This is hyperopic eye, this is hyperopic eye, and far point is here. And suppose this is spectacle lens, and as we discussed earlier, that secondary focal point of the lens coincides here. Okay, then suppose this is same hyperopic eye. Now we move from spectacle to contact lenses. Contact lenses contact with this. The distance between this is this. Now far point is here. Now distance between the contact lens and the secondary focal point reduces, isn't it so? If we move from this vertex distance, we completely eliminate vertex distance and put our plus lens in a contact lens form, then the distance between lens and the secondary focal point reduces. Now we can understand, if distance reduces, power 1 by d. So the contact lens power must be increased to put the secondary focal point here at far point. Then contact lens power must be increased. There is no other option. So that's why in plus lens, if we move plus lens towards the eye, its effectivity decreases, and if we move plus lens away from the eye, plus away, effectivity increases, and plus towards eye, effectivity decreases. So that's why in case of contact lens, if we have contact lens of suppose a spectacle of 10 diopter, then we, when we move to contact lens, then it we have to increase the power around 1.11.75 ds, or around, which is not exactly, but we have to increase the power, because from spectacle to contact lens, the distance between secondary focal point and contact lens reduces. That's why you have to increase the power of contact lens, otherwise the secondary focal point and the far point cannot be coincide. So in case of plus lens, if you move away from the eye, effectivity increases, and if you move towards the eye, effectivity decreases. That's why from spectacle to contact lens, which is towards the eye, effectivity decreases, and if there is effectivity decreases, we have to increase the power of plus contact lens. So let's take an example of minus. What is the difference in plus and minus? Suppose this is myopic eye, and this is spectacle, and this is far point of, the power of a minus lens must be distance 1 by this distance, because secondary focal point is here and far point is here. So this is far point, and our power of minus lens must be inverse of this distance, because of the secondary focal point lies here. So suppose this is the same eye, and we put contact lens, minus contact lens, attaching with cornea, then far point is here. The distance between secondary focal point, and contact lens increases, so 1 by d decreases. So that's the concept of minus lens effectivity. So exactly opposite, in minus lens moves towards eye, effectivity increases, and away from eye, effectivity decreases. That's why from -7 contact lens spectacle, sorry, if we move to contact lens, then we go for -6.25 something approximate, because when we move towards the eye, minus lens effectivity increases, and when we move away from eye, minus lens effectivity decreases. And that's the principle. If you understand these drawings and how distance varies, we put contact lens or spectacle, and then this is what happening when we prescribe. And as we know, the formula is very easy. The power of contact lens or new power is uh, earlier power divided by 1 minus if distance upon power. So this is old power, this is new power, which is contact lens power, this is spectacle power also, we can say. D is a vertex distance, sometimes the distance we must calculate. So its formula is easy, there is no debate in this. So let's try to incorporate what are the clinical significance and that we encounter in our OPD. First is contact lens. Obviously, in plus lens, spec to contact lens power increase. In minus lens, spec to contact lens power decrease. As we know that, because in plus lens, when it moves towards eye, effectivity decreases. That's why we have to increase the power of contact lens. But in case of minus lens, when we move minus lens towards eye, the effectivity increases. That's why we decrease power. And another interesting case we can see in our OPD is when someone with hyperopia and a blurred vision comes with a complaint that if I move my spectacle away from my eye, or just pick the spectacle and move away from the eye, and I can see clearly, and this means his spectacle or his refractive correction is undercorrected, he needs more plus power. This is also very good clinical sign that people can show, and very good thing that you can correlate with uh, effective power. So if some patient comes to you and says that when I move my lens away from my eye, then I can see better with plus lenses, obviously he's hyperopic, then you must understand his current glasses are undercorrected, so you must increase his plus power. So that's uh, plus power sign or symptom. So, and third important concept that you can understand is when we do biometry and uh, from PCIOL, posterior chamber IOL, when we calculate anterior chamber IOL in same patient, then we reduces a constant, and which eventually reduces power of IOL. This is because suppose this is your eye, suppose this is your eye, and this is the lens and granules, and there is a nucleus. So suppose if this position correlates with this retina, a secondary focal point, the distance between this is less, and when put ACIL at the same time we move plus lens away from the eye. When we move plus lens away from, the distance between them is larger, so large and short. So when it comes large, the power of the IOL should be low. That's why in case of ACIOL we reduce power, plus power obviously, as compared to PCIOL. So this is also the beautiful clinical correlation that you can understand by understanding the effective lens effectivity, effective power, and Vergence effectivity. So thank you so much. This is it. I will meet you in the next video.